It's your guy Shaheen, aka Moolah Gang Entertainment. May peace and blessing be upon to everyone tuning in. And I wanted to say thank you for everyone that's subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button after this video. We bring you nothing but the real and the truth and entertainment, authentic entertainment. So what we're tapping in today is about Nolan Wells, the Nolan and Xavier Wells case. Now, myself, and I'm sure as others, has been following this case very closely, paying attention to the details, what information that's out there. You know, I get that. Me as well. Well, I ran across this podcast yesterday, and there's a lot of information that I wasn't aware of, and I'm sure others are not aware of. But then let me warn you that also kind of towards the middle, or I want to say 15, maybe not 15, 10 minutes in this podcast, the table's starting to turn. So, you know, it was first, we got a little corruption going on, but now, you know, hey, but the evidence is showing nothing. Hey, I'm like this right here. You can choke someone, this red discoloration, and I'm not making any kind of assumptions, but red discoloration and keeping the throat part tells me signs of choke, that he was choked. I'm not saying that's facts, so don't hold me to that. I'm just saying my intuition and my resourceful mind tells me that leaves no other evidence other than signs of strangulation. So we're going to tap into this video, and please drop in the comments what you think, because I'm always open to feedback. Always open to feedback and your advice on the case. Just keep it respectful. That's all I ask. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let's dive into it.
Is Hidden Killers Live with Tony Bruschi and Robin Dream.
Let's go and talk about another case that we continue to follow. The medical examiner who performed Nolan Wells' autopsy, Dr. Stacy Turner, Mississippi's chief medical examiner, has a few skeletons in her closet. Ruled a previous in-custody death undetermined, despite her own findings documenting neck injuries consistent with deputy compression. 3 independent pathologists reviewed the same evidence, called it a homicide. A grand jury used Turner's ruling and closed the case. One of the deputies at that arrest, Hunter Elward, was never charged. He walked free until federal prosecutors caught up with him and for something else entirely. Elward was part of the Rankin County Goon Squad, a group of deputies who broke into a home, assaulted 2 black men, shot one of them in the mouth, and tried to cover it up. Federal charges...
Hold up. Hold on there, Jack. Throw some brakes off on that guy. You mean to tell me that the sheriff's department is running a gang? Come on. Come on now. Come on, talk that shit, Tony. Talk that shit.
Federal convictions, federal prison. Same sheriff's department.
Did not know that.
Medical examiner who helped them avoid accountability for the first death is the same one sitting on Nolan Wells' sealed autopsy right now.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
Great.
Let's see who these guys are, who these people are. All right, we got Tony Bruschi. He's obviously a podcaster, a YouTube podcaster. And we got Robin Dreek. I think that's the way you pronounce his last name, but I'm not for sure. And then you have Jennifer Coffindaffer. Anyways, all right. It seems as if Robin is a retired FBI special agent, and Jennifer is just a FBI coordinator, possibly. Retired, possibly. I don't know. Let's see what they got to say.
We again, this is just kind of like, you know, the people you put in places of power, if they have track records like this, let's not go into adding curiosity or conspiracy where there doesn't need to be. But I understand why there would be some curiosity and people wondering of conspiratorial thoughts, considering the track record of Mississippi. I'm not saying that that's what's going on here, because
please elaborate.
Right now, we just don't know the answer to that question.
Please elaborate.
I personally don't feel like they did.
We want to know.
But
we didn't know anything about corruption.
Optics matter. Optics are important. Why is this person the chief medical examiner
That's right.
of the state of Mississippi with this sort of shit?
Now, hold on. Let me pump the brakes on that guy on this whole situation right here. Okay. So, I want to make it very clear that I'm not doing this for any kind of clickbaits, or I see a lot of crazy stuff on YouTube about Nolan Wells and just people I ain't never seen before just popping up and just making. But anyways, that's neither here or there. I want y'all to know very well what he is saying. Now, understand, watch. I want y'all to acknowledge and take into consideration his demeanor right now, because his demeanor right now, his spidey senses, or he's on to something. He feels like he's on to something. You know, he's just now explained to us that there's been corruption in Mississippi with the goon squad, and the coroner being dead smack in the middle of it. The same coroner that did the autopsy on Nolan Xavier Wells. But pay attention to him. Right now, he's arguing his case. He feels as if there's something going on there. And for God's sakes, his podcast is called Hidden Killers. Hidden Killers. Why do you have a podcast titled Hidden Killers with Nolan Wells? What happened to Nolan Wells? Now, his demeanor right now is showing that he feels as if something isn't right. There's something going on, okay? And they're like, you know, they're just there right now. But okay, so let's carry on.
Jen, how do you think that affects this case?
Oh Lord.
Not good. Look, Giglio Brady exists for a reason. And what that is to say is, whether it's a law enforcement officer or an ME, if you have issues in your past, anything that even rubs in the direction of not being forthright in your findings, which that case did, right? Yeah. I mean, it was convenient. Wasn't it convenient that it was just undetermined? That's always a convenient. When I'm always with the ME going, don't give me undetermined.
Okay.
Just give me what it is.
Okay, now.
But you know, a lot of we saw it in the Karen Reed case.
Right now, I apologize. I have to state this and point this out, because if I don't, y'all are gonna be a little confused a little later on, and so was I. And I was like, you know what? I'm done watching this. I don't agree. Whatever. I did from the beginning. Absolutely. But let's carry on. Let's hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
And it just messes everything up for everybody, because you have an ME that can't make a decision. In this case, or in that case, I mean, that was a bad situation, and I can't believe she is the one. Is she the one, though, that performed it, or the
yes.
one?
Yes,
she actually performed it.
From what I understand,
I haven't seen it
I could be wrong, but from everything I've absorbed, that's where my mind is at this moment. I mean, this is obviously there's so much stupidity here. With the local law enforcement, the sheriff immediately coming up. We don't think it was this. You don't even have any evidence to say either way yet. Shut the fuck up.
Hold on. Pause.
And
pause. I have to say,
this track record and this skeleton in her closet coming along, gee, nobody's gonna question that shit.
oh wow,
I mean, what?
wow.
Tony, poor Tony's off the rails. Okay, Tony, a couple of things. She might just
Now,
be.
y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. She's got how many skeletons in the closet? Let's go back. Can we go back?
Chief, and they have.
Let's go back.
Either way yet. Shut the fuck up. And then when you do have the body, you pick the person that's got this track record and this skeleton in her closet coming along. Gee, nobody's gonna question that shit. I mean, what?
Tony,
Oh, but
poor
we are.
Tony's off the rails. Okay,
We are.
a couple of things. She might just be the chief, and they have put her in an administrative role more.
Yeah.
You know, she an overarching role, but she didn't precisely perform the autopsy.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen that report, and I don't think it's out there.
It's
to
not.
see. So because of that, we don't know who was the hands-on person cracking the chest, cutting everything open, weighing all the parts, doing all the work. We really don't. She signs off on it. Typically, that's how it works. If
Yeah.
you don't have the chief performing the autopsy. I'm hoping that's the case here. I'm hoping she's more of an executive role with not have her hands on anything anymore. I'm not saying that mitigates a wrongdoing she did in the
They're
past.
talking
I'm
about
just
the
saying,
chief-
As long as this was done by somebody else and it's their decision,
Chief
I
Coroner?
think that it will look much better.
And also, I'm just hoping still that there's congruency between that medical examiner and the independent.
Medical examiner.
I'm hoping that there's congruence here, and I'm hoping with all the effort they're making to dig
Same
out
thing, I
everything
think.
from cell phones to GPS data to examining everything, that everything.
That's another question I have to ask. Just like Brother Dr. Umar, y'all have GPS tracking documentations of the Triton. Y'all got a little video clip of them pulling the Triton in. They did that for evidence. I feel as if that's my personal opinion. Again, this is my personal opinion. Nothing that I'm providing or presenting to y'all are facts or based on facts. But I mean, if I see a duck quacking, I'm gonna call it for what it is. It's a duck. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I've seen the documentation or picture or whatever of the GPS tracking of the Triton. And I want to say that was Bart boat that was pulling it and that was in front of it. Okay, so y'all have the GPS tracking and movements of the Triton somewhat partially. Well, actually, from the time it left, I guess. Why don't y'all have the tracking or GPS documentation of all of the vessels that was joined together to make a whole? Because as far as I'm concerned, there was either 3 or 4 boats that went out together as a group of friends. That makes one whole. All 3 or 4 boats should have been investigated and should be investigated, and the GPS tracking, just as they did the Triton, for the little time that it was pulled back to the dock or whatever. Why don't we have that? We should have that. And so he said a lot of good stuff there. That's what it should boil down to. It should boil down to cell phone. They should pull all their cell phones information and data, etc. They should have GPS tracking and locations of all 3 or 4 boats, including Bart's boat, that pulled them back. And y'all don't know why I said that later. And so forth and on. All witnesses, then 300 out of 300 people, and everybody, if you could tell in the videos, the little clips they do have, which surprises me, there's only 1 or 2, maybe 1 or 2 clips that popped up from that day. with everyone out there, if you pay close attention, they got cell phones out. And you mean to tell me no one seen nothing? I don't think so, brother. Let's see what this guy has to say. This is Robin Dreek, retired FBI special agent and author of what books I do not know. It seems like a pretty intelligent guy. To see what he has to say.
Just keeps coming up to tragic accident and not something much worse and darker than that.
Credibility is going to be everything.
What? Oh. No, why did he say that? Let's back up. I got to back up. I have to point this out. This is important. Why did he just say that? He said, I hope it turns out to be something just simple and nothing darker. A simple, tragic, whatever incident and nothing darker than that. And then looked away from the part. Now, why did that did not sit with me well. He knows what's going on. People just don't want to admit it, man. The truth is right in front of people.
Wrong. I don't believe she was ever.
And it's crazy how
anything she did in the past either. It's just here's what happened.
How oblivious we are to the facts when they're right in front of our face. And then we wonder, well, I didn't know. I didn't know. I could. In a million years, I wouldn't have in a million years. Well, you better start. A million years is a long time.
I'm not saying that she did anything wrong here, but even if it was done by the book, perfect. She's the one. Her office is the one who has the neck, who has the piece that nobody has the answer to. The independent autopsy doesn't have the neck, and I understand this is how it works. They typically you can only peel an orange once.
Well, why not?
And they have that part.
That only tells me one thing.
Appearance of impropriety in the past, and you're the one that holds that information, even if it does come up.
When you withhold the lungs and the throat, when y'all want to claim, first thing y'all want to claim before y'all even did an investigation, y'all claimed it as a accidental homicide. Accidental drowning. Oh, Nolan was drunk. He was drinking, but his coach, which was out there, stated he ran across Nolan and interacted with him for a couple of seconds, talked to him about college and all sorts of things. And he was perfectly fine. He was not drunk. And he accidentally drowned without a start of an investigation. Okay, so let me think. Lungs, throat. Well, I'm a pretty intellectual. I'm pretty smart. Let's put it like that. If you keep the lungs, I'm pretty sure you kept the lungs so it would show, because it would show there was not a drowning. And you kept the throat because the throat would show damage to it, the trachea or whatever you want to call that, when he was choked out. Simple and plain.
It says, well, we got nothing here, or inconclusive, and that doesn't show.
And again, that's not facts.
Nobody's gonna believe it.
That's not facts, guys, but that is my intellectual intuition. Or intuitional, was probably not a word, but that is my intellectual assumption when they held back on the lungs and the throat. Because they wanted to rule it as an accidental homicide, but they can't. Why? Because they know that there will show no water in his lungs before his death. May have been after his death, but there was no water in his lungs after he was killed, before he was killed. So they gotta hold on to the lungs and the throat. They hit onto the throat. I feel as if because it would show damage, him being choked. And he was in the water for 2 days. It was planned out methodically. My assumption. That is my opinion, my personal opinion on what happened.
And rightfully so, even if it is accurate. I mean, it just seems like such a setup for
It does.
failure when you're trying
It does. Doesn't sound like set up.
to get to the truth. If
Come on,
that's the
y'all.
goal at the end
Make
of
it
the day
make
for all
sense.
these agencies, and I hope to God it is. I'm not saying that she's any sort of conspirator in this, trying to cover
Now he's
anything
twisting.
up.
Did y'all just hear what he just said? Did you hear what he just said? Let's back it up. Now he's twisting on me. He's twisting on me now. He's twisting on us. He felt like he was on our side, and now it's once these two individuals got up and stood and talked, it's changing.
Of impropriety in the past, and you're the one that holds that information, even if it does come out that says, well, we got nothing here, or inconclusive, and it doesn't show anything. Nobody's going to believe it. And
We don't.
rightfully so.
And we
Even
don't.
if it is accurate. I mean, it just seems like such a
A cover up.
setup
It is.
for failure when you're trying
It
to
does.
get to the truth. If that's the goal at the end of the day for all these agencies, and I hope to God it is. I'm not
Listen.
saying that she's any sort of conspirator in this, trying to cover anything up, but
I think he said it all. Now this is where, as you pay attention, if you pay attention, this is where he kind of turns, you know, and I guess he's given the innocent version of it, as he was just given the guilty version of it, and how they're covering up and how they're corrupt, He just said it.
my God, optics matter.
My
and,
God.
and it just feels like
My
there's so
God.
many of these agencies we've seen
All
recently
praise be
that
to the
seem
Most
to
High.
forget that they serve the public.
Speaking of our
and that
God,
the public listens to what they say, and their words and their decisions matter. Why is this such an elusive thought to people in these positions?
I'm going to push back a little bit on this
Okay.
whole
Here we go.
autopsy thing.
Here we
because
go.
They have the skin.
Here we go, y'all.
They have specifically said
Just-
there were no
here we go.
contusions, there's no
Yeah.
lacerations, there's no bruising, there's none of that. There's the red part
Walk 'em
on the
down,
back of
Dano.
the head, which I posted a picture.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, showing where that body would rest. Yes, the blood is circulating, but the blood pools. There's liquidity. There's
And that makes sense, and that's there. But it's this part, it's the neck. That
right, but they had that. They had it.
Why?
The office that
Why?
has this history.
Check out Robin.
So they have.
He's not
it.
saying
They
nothing.
Don't have the interior.
Look,
Yeah.
So you would have expected to see strangulation.
and I'm sure Robin, even though he's retired, was informed before this podcast not to put out information incriminating towards this case. I'm sure he was. Jennifer's now giving her personal opinion about the autopsy and how there really isn't any evidence of foul play. But I'm going to run you through and break it down of how that makes no sense to me personally.
Marks, bruising, but none of that was there.
Okay.
No
Why would
marks of any nature on that
Okay,
body.
and what does that mean
He
though?
doesn't have the muscle.
Right.
Okay.
They have
What-
the skin,
what do you-
which is
Okay, what point does that prove though? Because you have no contusion, nothing on the skin, that means nothing. If someone's being choked, you can be choked. Ladies and gentlemen, you can be choked without having contusions and bruises on you. I can assure you.
the largest
Which you've
organ
seen,
in our
yeah.
body.
Okay.
So they have that. They've examined and they've said nothing there. But it's just so interesting how I think when they presented
Check out
in
Robin.
an autopsy, which first of all, number one, the person who did the autopsy conveniently.
If y'all notice, Jennifer, while she's answering, she's looking down at Robin's little square box. Just as it's set up on the screen, it's set up on their screen, okay? And she's looking down Tony's up at the top right here. Here's Tony, and here's Robin. If you notice, as she answers, she's looking down at Robin. They're being very, very careful about how they answer Tony. You know, and you notice Tony was defending Nolan Wells and pointing out the insufficient information that's being brought up about the case and why and how things are being handled. But now things are drastically turning, as you can tell. But pay close attention of how she's looking down at Robin as she answers Tony's questions. I thought that was just very important, which means it tells me that they're being very careful about what they say and how they answer these questions by Tony, because they don't want to incriminate something or the case possibly. But that's very key to me.
Didn't want to talk about it.
I pay very close attention to stuff like that.
You know what I mean? It wasn't.
Look,
good
see
for
how
their side, for them.
See how Robin smiled, like he's okay with her answer. He likes that. Like, look, pay attention, y'all. I'm gonna back it up a little bit. Back it up a couple seconds. Now, check out the eye contact between Jennifer and Robin.
On the skin, they used to have the muscle.
Right.
Okay.
As she looks down.
You know, which is the largest
Which you've
organ
seen,
in our
yeah.
body.
Okay.
So they have that. They've examined and they've said nothing there. But it was.
Watch now.
It's just so interesting how I think when they presented the independent
See how she
autopsy,
looked down?
which first of all, number one, the
Look.
person who did the autopsy conveniently didn't want to talk about it because or wanted to. You know what I mean? It wasn't
See
good for
Robin smile. See Robin smile. He's pleased with that. Well, and that, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. How they answer that. Like they didn't want to. How she said that they didn't want to talk about it. That only to me, that only one thing stands out behind that.
for him to come out. That's really who we needed to hear from, because Crump can't even. Okay, sorry. Because it would have been better for our understanding.
Hold on. Did y'all pay attention to that? She said, because Crump. And I don't know about y'all, but I would have loved to finish hearing what she had to say. I wish you would have finished that sentence. Yes, I do. And pay attention. Look, they all looked at the camera, like, and she, if you pay attention, she did not mention his name again, and she just totally switched lanes with the conversation just then.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting how they cherry picked.
Let's just back it up.
They presented the independent autopsy, which, first of all, number one, the person who did the
Right.
autopsy conveniently didn't want to talk about it because, or wanted to, you know what I mean? It wasn't good for their side for him to come out. That's really who we needed to hear from, because
She said,
Crump
these are
didn't
FBI.
even, okay, sorry.
Crump can't what?
Because
Crump
it
can't,
would
man.
have been better for
I
our
wish I would.
understanding.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting how
Oh.
they cherry picked.
I know what you were gonna say. Crump don't know how to present. Crump don't know how to present the information. Maybe, possibly. This is not facts again, y'all. But I don't think she was finna say anything. I don't think she was saying anything bad about Crump. Again, she is FBI. Robin down in the bottom square box, is a retired FBI. Okay, in which I'm pretty sure that these two communicated amongst one another before they did this podcast, and you know, combing through their answers and the questions that would be asked and how they would answer it. She slipped up and said Crump, but I don't think it was nothing bad that she was meaning to say, because again, she is FBI, and it hasn't been turned over to the FBI. It's being turned over to the grand jury, but she's giving her take of what she wanted to see, the information that they wanted to see. But also, again, they cannot deny the red flags that are standing out in the case overall. Let's carry on.
Oh, but this was done. This we all know that. But if you don't have bruising here, how can your larynx and your trachea be affected? You can't just go under the skin.
Well,
So to me, they just kind of sort of keep out those important facts.
I don't know. Hold on. Hey Alexa, can your throat be damaged if you're being strangled without your skin showing any? Oh no. Anyway, she put me on a wild goose chase. But I'm pretty sure that your actual throat, which is behind the skin, can be bruised and damaged without showing any kind of damage on your skin. If you're being choked, I mean, how can your throat not be damaged? I mean, I don't understand that. I'm pretty sure he probably broke some bones in his throat. These bones are not that hard. It all depends on how he would have if he was, quote unquote, choked or strangled. So I kind of disagree with that.
So, I mean, it's going to go to the grand jury. Everything's sealed until it does. I think the likelihood the grand jury is going to recommend.
So now we have Robin. Robin's going to share his analysis on the whole situation. But again, he's retired FBI. Let's see what Robin has to say.
With the trial, I think it's high probability just because of everything that's going on, and so I think everything will come out there.
But you need somebody, though.
Did you say you think it will?
Only because of all the noise.
Oh wow!
Well, who are they going to point at? That's the thing.
Well, I think they're going to go on a fishing expedition because I'm just getting that tenor of this because
a fishing expedition? Hold on now. A fishing expedition? Why would they have to go on a fishing expedition when there's fish jumping out the water? There's all kind of red flags, man. There's been red flags since the beginning of this case. There have been red flags. So I don't fully comprehend his response right then. I don't.
When you see the level that people are going to dig up, that's why I'm kind of smiling over. Is like, of course they're finding out that there's an incongruency here or behavior here because. But I always look at this. How long did it take them to figure that out? I mean, because you've had so many eyes poking at this for so long. So
how long it took them
to figure
it out?
It comes down to Crum and his guys. How much can they put? They want it.
Boy, he said Crump so soft just then. That's crazy. Crump got them folk like that. He said it all boils down to what Crump and them Wow.
They want a trial. That's you really do. They don't want.
I mean, they deserve a trial. They deserve a trial.
I think they're gonna go on a fishing.
Let's be honest.
I'm just getting that tenor of this because
fishing. I don't like fishing though. I don't like that phrase.
To dig up. That's why I'm kind of smiling over.
He threw me with that.
They're finding out that there's an incongruency here or behavior.
Yeah, because it's red flags.
But I always look at this. How long did it take them to figure that out? I mean, because you've had so many eyes poking at this for so long. So I think it comes down to this. It comes down to Crum and his guys. How much can they put? They want it to go to trial. They want a trial. That's they do. They don't want.
I mean,
they
deserve
want
a trial.
So I think it's going to come down to what can
Why
they
Jennifer
dig up,
shaking her
what can
head?
they poke at, and between now and the grand jury, can they find someone to poke at to put it on them? That's what I think they're doing.
Well, I mean, what?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Jen.
No, I was going to say the grand jury, in my opinion, is going on now. How the grand jury typically works is literally as you get evidence, you bring it in, you sit there for 15 minutes, and then you leave, and then you go the next day, and as things come in, you present over and over, and they take it all in. And there is no suspect.
I know, I agree.
The people that have had a finger.
Again, YouTube, my personal opinion. And this is just my personal opinion. There is no suspect because they will not acknowledge the information and the evidence that's in front of them. I feel like it's not being taken serious enough. And that fully explains why there's no suspect. Because no one's being held accountable for it. I feel like, and again, my personal opinion is that it's not being taken serious enough, and it hasn't been taken serious enough since the beginning. Now that attention is being brought to this case worldwide, nationwide, now actions are starting to being taken place. And I feel as if that's why the lungs again were in lungs and the throat is being withheld because of what I explained earlier. And they know it's getting serious now. So yeah, we're gonna hold on to the lungs and the throat, because if they see that, then they'll see that there's no water in his lungs before he died, and his throat was damaged due to strangulation or him being choked. That is my personal opinion. And the suspect is it's being treated as if a couple of other cases in Mississippi that I've just recently acknowledged that have taken place not too long ago. Girl, Tashia being hung in a tree. They had to get a ladder to get her down out of somewhere in a secluded area or abandoned area. No one really goes or goes by, or The other hand, there was no witnesses. Rule undetermined. Just don't add up. Just don't add up. Let's just call it for what it is. Call it spade a spade.
Pointed at them. They're suing. I am going bravo.
Yep, I agree.
I agree.
I do
on
not.
These kids without a scintilla of evidence. There was not a scintilla of evidence.
She said, what did she say? She said,
Listen to that
but
tape over and over and over again.
she
They're
know
making up this
that's
and
cap. Look how they're looking
Nolan
down.
wasn't even
Look
on the
how they're
phone.
looking
We have
down.
pictures.
Nobody,
And we have,
no,
a sighting
pay attention to that, y'all. They know that's cap.
suspect.
I know, I agree.
The people that have had a finger pointed at them, they're suing. I am going bravo.
Yep, I agree.
Bravo.
I agree.
Line these kids without a scintilla of evidence. There is not a scintilla of evidence. I've listened to that.
Y'all look at
damn
Tony.
tape over and
Check
over
out,
and
look
over
at
again,
Tony.
where they're making up. They said
He can't even look at her.
Nolan wasn't even on the boat. We have the pictures. And
That's
we
crazy.
have,
Y'all pay attention to Tony. Now,
a
Tony don't
sighting
believe
of
that.
them at 4:30, I think it was, on the beach. So how
Tony
was he
don't
on
believe
the
that.
boat at 4 when the call came in? It's all total lies. You can listen to it. It's because somebody said, "Oh my God, yeah, they were taking on water and the boat was sinking." That's a good reason to say, "Oh my God." You think this kid is going to be calling up to, "Hey, I mean, he's obviously impaired." He's like, "Yeah,
Yep, I know, I listened to it.
postcode. Oh, I got a dead body on it." Or, I mean,
Yeah.
it's so.
It wasn't congruent to covering up a murder. Like that call was not that. I mean, that was not what that sounded like. It sounded like a dopey kid who had too many White Claws, and probably sounds fairly dopey on a good day. But that's that age.
First of all, I don't think anything about that situation is funny. I strongly, 180% disagree. I think there is tons of evidence in that audio tape. Me personally, I'm a music producer. I produce music. I work on music. And I currently work on that audio. The audio that was released by the first person, Janetta. I worked on that audio, and I heard some disturbing things in that audio. I did, and I'm going to be posting that here soon. the whole rundown. Let's continue. This is why I exit. So anything after this, I don't.
You know, again, that's everybody's young and dumb once, and
Fourth of July.
he's living his young and dumb life. You know, but it's I agree there. How much of this is going to be determined by the digital evidence at the end of the day? Meaning, Snapchat coming back and saying either they say somebody deleted stuff off of this, or there just is nothing that ever went on. Like he wasn't using his phone. That's why there's nothing there. I mean, if it comes back and it shows that shit was.
But pause. But everybody got their phone out. Everybody got their phone out. I'm sorry, sir. Maybe when he got in the water, he didn't want his phone. When he was out there talking and chilling and interacting with other people, possibly females, possibly Katie. That's, again, my personal opinion. But I'm pretty sure he had video on Snapchat because his Snapchat was deleted. So, look, why aren't we talking about that, Tom?
Deleted off his phone.
Yeah.
Then you got a case. But if
It
there's
was.
nothing that comes back.
Hold on. Did y'all catch that? Oh. Oh, I caught that. Oh, I did. Run that back. Think you need to run that back. Run that shit back.
Either they say somebody deleted stuff off of this, or there just is nothing that ever went on. Like he wasn't using his phone.
Look.
That's why there's nothing there.
Look how Robin.
I mean,
Look. Y'all pay attention how Robin looked. He looked off the camera then. He's tooting. I'm tooting with stuff over here now. Yeah. No. Pay close attention. Let's talk about that.
if it comes back and it shows that shit was deleted off his phone, then you got a case. But if there's nothing that comes back that shows anything was deleted, is that kind of put this dead in the water if you don't have any other like physical evidence pointing to any sort of conspiratorial murderous behavior amongst these people?
Well, I think it's going to be way broader than snaps being erased, because snaps erase on their own. And
Yeah.
again,
But Snap will tell you whether if that's what happened or not. That's
right. It'll tell you, but how
I
about
was gonna
this?
tell the
I'm
truth.
not drinking. I'm doing a line of cocaine. I'm with my buddies, and then I'm like,
But they're gonna show
I'm
pictures.
not putting this on there.
It's gonna show
that's my
pictures?
reason why
Yeah.
I think there was anything on there. But your point you're trying to make is this: what if there is something nefarious in the whole digital realm, which remember could be everything from let's get Nolan, or geez, something negative like that, something. So if you look at the whole digital spectrum, that's what they're going to look through. And certainly, if there is nothing on the digital spectrum, which could be so many things, right? They're talk about who's fishing is, the family, right? They're fishing. They've trying to go after all the kids' social media, all their TikToks and all of this. So, nevertheless, Tony, that's just one factor. I think the medical examination. Look, what if he OD'd? Nobody's even throwing that out there as a
really?
possibility.
OD?
Listen, this kid is nothing but a great kid from every.
I'm gonna say I strongly disagree with that. If he OD'd, it was because they forced it into his system. Nolan was, that's crazy. That's wild. That is wild. And I know she said, what if? So she didn't say that Nolan OD'd. But come on, really?
Everything I've seen. But I think they were all out there partying. And look at that vibes. Mistakes are made. I'm not saying that's what was made. I'm saying you got to consider it. And could that be the reason why after the autopsy, because I let everybody know, the day that autopsy was done, which was right after the event, the detectives were there.
Mm-hmm.
I went to all mine. You're right there because you're literally asking, what I got here, Doc? Am I looking at an accident? What am I looking at?
Guilt? Yeah.
So, and I would think also, because the parents are claiming that there was things deleted from Nolan's phone, and to the point that we're talking about on the digital investigation going on right now, I would think in order for that to hold weight, so even if they could say that, that would mean that you're either going to see a lot of things that went sideways that they're going to use on an investigation from everyone else's digitals, or there's going to be a lot of deletions on everyone else's phones as well. And we
Right.
haven't had any leakage that anyone else's phones have had deletions or anything else. I mean, and you again, there's so many people involved with this, and that's why I'm actually pleasantly surprised there's not more leakage, that things are amiss, that there's a rise, there's incongruencies. I mean, when you have that many people, the more people you involve, the much less chance of conspiracies, because people will talk and they fight back when they're wrongly accused, like the one kid is doing that. Good for him. But I would think that's the way it's going to be with the digital stuff.
We're in a month now. I mean, we're pretty close to a month now since this horrific.
I feel like I know a hate crime carries up to a life, and I know I know I would never do anything like that or ever try to cover anything up, and I'm not saying that anyone did. But if I was a part of a group and I did everything that I possibly could to prevent that situation from occurring or happening, and it happened, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, bro, hey, right is right, wrong is wrong. I'm finna say something. I don't care. You can threaten me all you want. If it's a group of people, I don't know, man. I just can't say what I would do. It doesn't matter what color you are. I mean, and how many friends I'm around. If something like that happens, my heart is not built like that.
You know, whatever it was that happened,
Absolutely
no one
not.
lost his life, took place. I would think that if there was anything to leak out, if somehow that this group of friends is really secretly Klan members, and they were ready to, off their friend on the boat when they were out partying one day, I think.
Now, hold on. That's mighty convenient he said that after I just said what I said, after I mentioned a hate crime. Because that would be, I think, considered as a hate crime. Hate crime carries a life sentence, possibly death. That's very interesting. And her response is very interesting as well to that, I think. Let's back it up. Too far.
But just saying be brave doesn't mean there's anything to share. Doesn't mean there's anything actually there to begin with. Ready to, off their friend on the boat when they
Here we
were
go.
out
Here we
partying.
go.
I think
Listen to this now.
whatever it was that happened, where Nolan lost his life, took place. I would think that if there was anything to leak out, if somehow that this group of friends is really secretly Klan members, and they were ready to, off their friend on the boat when they were out partying one day, I think we would have heard about it. But I think somebody would have leaked that. We don't see anything else.
Why would they? Why would they leak that? Look how Robin's looking down at Jennifer. Her reaction was kind of interesting. Like, why would that be funny? Like, that, sure, KKK is in.
Somehow that this group of friends is really secretly Klan members, and they were ready to, off their friend on the boat when they were out partying one day. I think we would have heard about it by now. I think somebody would have leaked that. We don't see anything of that sort that has come out. I know, like, there's been people over the weekend, like, be brave and share what you have. Yeah, if you have something, share it. If it's something, yes, be brave if it exists. But just saying be brave doesn't mean there's anything to share. It doesn't mean there's anything actually there to begin with. Do guilty people, does somebody who has something to do with something horrific like this, open up a civil lawsuit against people? I mean, the civil suits, you have a hell of a lot more leeway to investigate phones, subpoena people, depose people. There's all sorts of shit you can do in a civil lawsuit to really get to the nitty gritty of what's being accused here. What some people are doing against these kids. If you have something to hide, I don't think you're necessarily opening up that door on a legal level to do that. But that appears to be what one of the friends is doing, to say, come at me, go for it, I'll see you in court. That doesn't seem like a guilty person to me. How about you guys?
Yeah, I agree. And if you look at the statements that have been given by these kids, they're coming forward without legal representation.
Yeah.
They are really putting themselves out there, and their parents are allowing that, and it's for a reason. And I think it's
That
because
means
they have
nothing.
nothing to hide.
Yeah.
And so
That means nothing. First of all, they were interrogated by Officer Officer Tatum Ruckus. Uncle Officer Tater Ruckus. That's who they were investigated by. An orchestrated investigation. Again, my personal opinion. An orchestrated investigation does not count for someone who claimed to be best friends with Nolan, who also left him out on the island. Never went out there now. Never mind the search team going out there looking for him. I would have been on a boat. If I claimed Nolan to be my best friend, or if he was my best friend or my friend, I would have been on a boat out there that night or the next day that I didn't hear from him myself, looking for him. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He wouldn't have been left out there from the begin with, first of all. But if I would have been on another boat and so happy, or returned on another boat, and I didn't hear anything from him the next day, I would have been out there, and I wouldn't have left him out there if I would have been on that boat with him, because friends don't leave friends. So first of all, my personal opinion, they wasn't Nolan's friends, as they claimed to be, or they disguised themselves to be during the times that he interacted with them or he was around them. I just feel like they was plagiarists. They were very plagiarists. So I have to say I strongly disagree with that. And that investigation with Warren, don't even get me started. There were so many signs of deception that I don't even want to get into it.
and I think they've come off very honest. But I did want to caveat one thing. I watched very closely the origination of these things were erased. And the mother actually says that they are not, that he normally takes videos and snaps and they weren't there. It
Right.
is the attorney Crump that
Yeah.
exacerbates that, says, see, they were erased.
Yeah.
So that was the metamorphosis, what really the mom said to, the public outcry and belief that things are erased. So
No, I have to again say that I strongly disagree. And even Tony, look how Tony's looking. She is her responses are just, to me, are very strongly biased. It's just strongly biased to the information and the evidence that's out there. And that's, again, my personal opinion. Snapchat will show you and can show you when text messages are deleted. Okay? They show you when things are deleted. Absolutely. But anyways, that's neither here or there. Okay, there's a message to my brother. And there's a delete option right there. I pressed the delete. What is delete chat? Okay. Delete chat. Chat has been deleted. So, I gotta say I strongly disagree with that. His information could have been deleted.
I don't find anything erased, but we'll wait and see.
We'll see.
You don't
I
think?
mean, we just don't know the answer to that.
That's
and
facts.
once we have the answer to that, it is what it is. I mean, these tech companies don't have a dog in the fight. They're going to come out and say what it shows, and we'll see how everyone responds. We'll keep following this. Your thoughts in the comment section on Substack and YouTube. We would love for you to weigh in. Jennifer Coffindaffer, Break the Case, is her podcast. Get it wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Just search Break the Case.
There you
Jennifer
go,
Coffindaffer, and you
ladies
can
and
find
gentlemen.
that. Robin's latest book, It's Not All About Me. It's available wherever you get books, an audiobook. Leave a review there on Amazon. Much appreciated right there. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. Until next time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there you go. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Shaheem, aka Moolah Gang Entertainment. Thank you for everybody that subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and check out the rest of our content. Appreciate you. Have a blessed day. Peace and blessings. It's your boy Shaheem, Moolah Gang.
For Jennifer, for Robin,